Welcome back. I am taking a whole new approach to this game of chess. It's getting very frustrated, especially when I've been losing so many games, losing ELO, and I feel like I completely forgot how to play chess. And I decided, hey, let's take a different approach to this and let's do some different kind of studying. A lot of times I would watch people on YouTube go through different lines of different um, openings and yes, those are good. It's good to learn those things, but a lot of times like really good players will play certain positions, different positions, depending on what they're faced with. And I've tried so many different openings. The French defense, Carol Khan, the Bird and the Dutch, um, and all these different openings. And I've learned quite a bit of theory within them. And I did not like the positions that I was getting. And part of it is, of course, my playing of them, and perhaps lack of understanding. But I was thinking that there has to be a better way to improve at chess. And so I had decided I'm going to study with Stockfish. So we will see if Stockfish can teach me and teach me enough to get to 2000 ELO and above and see how fast I can get up there. So I went to the books, I started studying, uh, checked with Stockfish up to about 30, depth of 30, and it taught me quite a bit so far. So Professor Stockfish taught me that yeah, there's lots of different openings, but there's openings that work very well against like other people's positions. And I tried to stick with what I know, but also wanted to get like a new opening, especially for black. I never really like getting the black pieces, and I feel a little awkward around them. So I tried different openings and see what Stockfish would play against them. I did not use the open book on Stockfish, so it would analyze these different positions and play the moves that it thinks is the best for that position. Um, I was playing around with the open book, and the openings a lot of times would end up getting you into a worse position, like a -2 at the end of the book openings. So I didn't want anything to do with that. I wanted the absolute best openings for these positions. And I found out lots of good information. Like the with white, I like to play the queen's pawn with the uh, knight out, going into a Jabab the London. And anyways, if someone like if I start playing that and someone goes into the King's Indian, it's the best thing to play against it is something called the 150 attack. And I've never heard of it before. And I looked at it and it looks great. I'm going to incorporate it into my games. It looks simple, easy concepts. I like it. I like simple. I like it when you can get kind of similar positions to the Jabava London and be able to incorporate those idea those ideas along with a different idea of the 150 attack into the position. It flows very naturally, and I like that. Like against the French defense, it kind of likes the Marshall variation. Caro Khan, it likes the advanced variation. It seems like it gives white a little bit advantage, and then a few moves in, the white can get a easy advantage, especially if the Carol player plays a lot of the natural moves that you would play in the Carol. Um, and um, if you're playing against the Dutch, it likes for you to open up the pawn, go straight for the knight. Like when he brings out the knight, just take it. Like take out the bishop and then take it after the knight gets played out, and then kind of transfer into a reverse French. I'm not going to learn all these different openings that Stockfish likes. I think I'm going to stick with like what I like with the jump off of London for white and the 150 attack. I plan on keeping my openings very limited, at least until I get to 2000 rated, if I ever get up there. Um, but I want to master just like two, maybe three at most openings, but I would like to keep it at two if I can. And as the black pieces, um, it likes when the person brings out the pawn, it likes you to copycat the same type of pawn and then bring out the opposite knight to defend that pawn. Um, like in the Ruy Lopez, the it'd be like a two knights variation, which is called the Berlin. It really likes that setup for black against the Ruy Lopez. Um, Against the bird, it likes the Lasker variation. King's Indian, it likes you to do a King's Indian Neo Grunfeld, if I pronounce that right. Against it, Queen's Gambit, you always want to decline the King's or Queen's Gambit and go into a Ragozin variation, whatever that is. Um, but I'm going to just try and keep it simple and basically do two knights variation, um, or uh, or kind of like a semi-Slav or something like that with black. For the most part, going to be like the two knights and the bishop out protected, and go along with that, like the Guccio Pianissimo, um, or a semi-Slav if they try and do a uh, Queen's Gambit. But anyways, for the most part, black, I'm just going to copy the pawn move, take out the other bishop, protect it, go from there, and do what basically Stockfish advises. How can you go wrong? Like at least the first few moves, and um, and all I can really expect is like get into a good position and at the very beginning and take it from there. Let my wings fly, uh, and do my calculations, um, with whatever positions that come about. And but most of all, a lot of these positions you come across over and over and over again, um, like getting played, for example, the Ponziani. That is a very common opening. If you know how to play against it, uh, then great. Uh, there's nothing that they can do with you on that attack, and you're going to probably end up in a good position. So, those are my plans. I'm going to study with Stockfish. It's hopefully that, uh, especially working through some of the different variations, I can kind of get some ideas of how to attack properly, and just um, improve. And hopefully, my ELO can go up well from there. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I had played a couple of games. Overall, The first several games I haven't really done very well with, and I expect that because I'm learning these new positions, especially as black. Like, I haven't played these positions before, and I don't really know a lot of the ideas behind it. So I'm just going to play it by ear and study these different positions that I get with Stockfish and see what I can do better in future games. So, anyways, let's get to the first game. This game I got black, um, and just like here, it tells it it prefers me to do the same type of pawn, and then bring out the knight to defend it. And that is pretty much where my knowledge ends. So whatever mistakes I make, I will learn and I'll get further into the game and apply that to several hundred games or 1,000 games. Then I should have enough to really make it pretty far into the game, get a great position, and go from there. And hopefully I won't lose, like make bad move that just loses all the advantage that I had at the beginning. So, anyways, this was the Ponziani that he was playing against me. And I later learned that the best thing to do is just bring this pawn straight up. Uh, and after analyzing this and common Ponziani attacks, uh, it's not really uncommon to get into a position where you can be like, um, have a checkmate in eight because they don't know the positions that well. They don't know that they're 8 moves away from getting checkmated. So I'm hoping in the future someone will play the Ponziani against me, find this variation, and see the checkmate in eight. Like, that would just be so awesome. I guess they'd be checkmate in eight or less. So depending on where they move. Anyways, I just kind of played out 2 knights. He challenged the center. I took. He advanced. And I know the idea behind the Ponziani is pushing a lot of pawns to harass the knights. Um, so I have an idea of what he's up to. So I moved the bishop away to attack his pawn, but I I didn't know that it was better to go over there. Anyways, he recaptured. I moved my pawn up to again challenge that pawn, and I just kind of took away a square for myself. Anyways, he attacks the knight. I move it back, and I was thinking at this point, okay, I can reroute this knight over here, get 2 attackers on this pawn, on this, so I could take, he could take, I could take the pawn, hopefully not get attacked by a surrounding piece. So I was trying to focus up my attack, and yeah, he attacked here, which didn't really do anything because of this next move. I can just take the pawn, and it leaves that pawn vulnerable and as a target. So he took back, and I took back. So with the number of defenders, the math worked out, and I was able to get up a pawn, which is completely winning. So, but in this position, even though I'm up a pawn, it looks like in the evaluation bar, it's completely even. Um, so I just try to make moves. I wanted to try and make room for this to Fianchetto, to attack this pawn. Just try and think of ideas of different ways to attack and get my pieces off the back rank. So I learned that move from the hippo and hippo defense, and just trying to develop my pieces. And I was thinking probably castle on this side, but with the pawn pushes, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to castle on that side. And they just blundered a piece, like, but two pawns for one piece. It's not so much of a sacrifice. It's a little sacrifice. It's like one pawn worth of sacrifice, but um, it gets him like attacking this pawn. He's just like trying to start an attack, but he really doesn't have enough pieces in the attack. It's just going to fall apart. And I pushed that pawn, even though it was like a mistake or inaccuracy of some sort. Uh, Actually, it's listed as a mistake. I did that to protect this pawn. So he moved, continued attack. I just swapped off pieces, and just wanted to go towards an endgame. And I thought, okay, yeah, they say this is a mistake, but I wanted to get this bishop out to attack the rook. It would be a mistake um, uh, if he just attacked properly after I made that move. Um, but yeah, he took, I took, he checked me, I moved, and that's where he really made his mistake. Uh, he If he would have just taken the bishop, I wouldn't have been able to get this bishop in time. So luckily he did that, and we just wanted to trade off his rook. So I was trying to move my rook in position where he would, yeah, trade it off, and he did. And he was probably thinking he'd get some sort of a pawn uh, advance before. I don't know. I really don't know what he was thinking. Um, but I just pretty much took all of his pawns, and then I came across a position that is really awesome because I've played this in so many different puzzles, and I thought, oh, how cool. Um, I get a puzzle uh, finish. So went here, he went the wrong direction, and I'm sure you've seen this in puzzles before. Check with the pawn, he moves down, and checkmate right there. Just move over with the rook, and there's no place for him to go. Uh, I think that's a pretty common puzzle that you come across. Um, so yeah, I ended up winning that game, and in the game review, it shows that I played like a 72.4. He played 63.5. I had 5 great moves, 14 best moves. I had 1 miss, and 5 mistakes. Overall, I was pretty happy with the game, uh, and I played like a 1100, and he played like a 650. So then on to the next game. So I played this Dean Corso from France, I got the black pieces. He started off. I matched with the pawn. He went into a uh, queen's gambit, and you always decline it. I knew that. Um, I moved this pawn up though, but more correctly, you move this pawn right here, up here. So that was one mistake in playing this that I should have done. Um, Anyways, I tried to develop pieces somewhat naturally. Um, and just trying to get in positions that I'm used to. Again, it's about even here. Um, Move the queen up. I was thinking I might be able to attack this pawn if he castles on this side, and then having like my knight up here, I might be able to move my knight up and then bring my queen in, uh, or some other variation. Bring my um, uh, bishop up here. If I swap this pawn off, I could bring that up there to do another attack, but and I could also swing it up here and just whatever I needed to do. Just wanted to make the piece or the squares available for my pieces and try and develop it somewhat. So I wanted to swing my all my pieces over here because he just castled king side, and a lot of his pieces are not really doing a whole lot. So just try to develop pieces, try to get that knight away. I did not like the knight hanging around on my side of the board, so asked him to leave. And I know whenever you get pawn pushing like towards your king, like it's a terrifying thing. It's very scary because you know that they can just plow right up to you, like exchange all the pawns, and then you just got a bunch of pieces staring at you. Very dangerous. Um, a lot of times I try to lock out that side of the board um, if I see pawns coming at me. So I probably would have maybe pushed this pawn up just so if I went one direction, could lock up the that side of the board, prevent me from attacking. That'd be one of the ideas I would have. But yeah, he kind of did that. Um, but he took here instead of like trying to lock that side of the board. But his knight was also under attack too. You can't just ignore the knight. Um, so he was kind of he was kind of stuck with having to take. So I castled queenside so that I can get this rook staring up uh, towards his king. I wanted to double up the rooks because I thought that would be very good for an attack and maybe put checkmate him. And I don't quite understand the whole thought process of bringing basically all the pieces away from the king. It seems like just um, trying to lose. But anyways, I try and double up, and I didn't want to lose a pawn. But this pawn is left hanging, um, and this knight is defended with that one, and then this pawn is pretty much left hanging too. I mean, it's guarded, but there's no pawns that can protect it. So I brought up the knight, thought, hey, put pressure, get the rook up here, things would look good. And and I knew I had to get pull this away. I was thinking maybe I could pull it down, but I'm all in on this attack. I just want it to end quickly. So I thought, hey, why not sacrifice it here? Then, like if they took, which they would have to, or else I could take their other bishop. So they would bring that here. I could just bring up my rook and attack him. So that's what I did. So I just wanted to try and get a good fast checkmate in, and um, I I ran this through Stockfish later and saw that there's a better way for me to react, but Stockfish wanted me to just take right here with the queen, um, and then they'd move up with the queen, and then I would take this, um, or something along those lines. There's some sort of attack where they would basically just lose the queen because I would bring up this rook, deflect away, and hard to see it right now though. And I didn't see it at the time, so I just took his queen, sacrificed that. Overall, it's a pretty good trade. Um, like uh, two rooks for a queen. But yeah, um, I thought, well, just recapture this piece, and um, I kind of forgot about my queen over here, but um, but after he took there, I remembered I have my queen, so let's just bring that into the attack. And it took me a few seconds. I was like, well, if I move this here, the king can't move, so that's checkmate. So I was just like, is that really checkmate? And I moved over. It was checkmate. So those were a couple of games. That's my plan with Stockfish. Hopefully they can teach me, Stockfish can teach me some good moves. Maybe get into position where I have that checkmate in 8 and really just put a lot of pressure on the opponents. So let's see how Stockfish does, how it does teaching me. Um, and what I can improve on with openings to get me that advantage that I need to win. So it's going to be a long trial and error, trying to figure out the very best moves in the beginning. But after that, hopefully it'll be a breeze. But uh, between that and doing puzzles, hopefully that'll be enough to get me through. So anyways, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.